All right, it's time for another Vikings update. It's Vikings chatter with the one and only, the only guy that can offer some kind of a remedy for us poor Vikings fans. Nathan, I tell you what, I'm not really sure how I feel about that Vikings win the other day.
It was a win only in the column, right?
Right.
Like, you can't really be, wow, I'm really happy with that one, right? I mean, you basically should have ran roughshod over a Detroit team that honestly looks horrible.
Right.
And then, you kind of have the game in hand, run the ball out, you fumble the ball. They basically could have just as well scooped that fumble up and ran it in because our defense just looked around like, I think they were already undoing their shoulder pads. I think they thought the game was in hand.
Yeah.
And then we have to come out and come down and rely on a what? A field goal.
Yeah.
As if the season hasn't been predicated off of enough damn field goals.
Right.
Pardon my French, but
right.
Man. So here we are. We get a W. It's a win. We have the same record as the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
I mean, so, I don't know. How much stock do you put in a win? It's a win is a win. You got to, as someone was texting me and said, I don't feel comfortable about this win or good about it. I don't think anybody did.
Right.
And all I said is we got to turn this into some momentum. You've got to take this and you've got to run with it.
Right. Build
upon it. Man, I mean, it's just, every time you listen to the Vikings pregame on K-Fan,
right.
They talk to the visiting or the opponent's radio guys.
Right.
And every week I've heard them, they say, you look up and down this Vikings roster, and boy, they've got a lot of talent.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't translated onto the field. And that's been the truth, right? I mean,
yeah.
The roster's stacked. We just can't seem to put everything together. We had one good game against Seattle where it was a second half where everything just flowed together and we were just dominating. Aside from that, it's been a little bit ugly. Cousins wasn't looking good. The offensive line looks shady. Mm-hmm. Alexander Mattison looks good. He had a bad fumble at the end. That's all anyone's going to remember. But that man runs hard.
Yes, he does.
We have probably one of the best backups. We probably have the best 1-2 running back situation maybe in the NFL.
I would
aside from Cleveland.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, they've got...
know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Alexander Mattison goes to any team in the NFL and starts.
Yeah, I agree.
He's a great player. What I'm a little bit frustrated with is we got to get deeper. We got to throw the ball deep. Mm-hmm. We got too many guys around the line of scrimmage, I think, in my opinion. We got to stretch. You watch these other teams, and the linebackers are all playing off because they're dropping back in the zone. They know with the Vikings, you get back to about 15 yards, 20 yards, that's fine. That's where the routes are going to be. Let's stretch the ball a little bit, But anyways, enough about the game. How about after the game? Did you see what's the deal with Mike Zimmer and Kirk Cousins?
I don't know.
What was that?
I don't know. I saw it.
I mean, if you haven't seen it, they kicked a field goal. Cousins is standing by Zimmer, and they have it looks like two dudes at a bar at about 1:30 in the morning ready to throw it down, right?
Right.
That's what it looked like. It did not look like I'm fired up. It looked like Zimmer wanted to punch his face.
Yeah.
And after the game, everyone's just emotional. And Kirk is an emotional guy, right? He's famous for you like that quote from Washington, right? I mean, the dude's, I think he tries to be so calm and finally just has a release of way too much energy. But that was weird. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I was listening to the Wine Line on K-Fan afterwards. And those guys, Corey Colvin, those guys, they immediately went into... If the Vikings don't get that field goal, is Zimmer still there?
He was 37 seconds away from being fired.
So that is what I want to ask you. Is that, in all honesty, I know we can sit here and talk about those kinds of things, but is that a thing? Is he...
Zimmer on the hot seat?
Yeah.
Oh, I think if you lose to Detroit, and especially in that fashion,
yeah,
I think you almost have to. I think at some point Spielman's hands are tied.
Right.
And you got to kind of start over. I know some people are saying, well, you got to fire Spielman with Zimmer. I don't think so. I mean, Spielman basically this year went out and got whatever the heck Zimmer wanted.
Exactly.
And the general manager can only assemble a roster. The coaching staff has to take it and make it work.
Right.
The general manager can only get the pieces in place that he feels. Now, I suppose you could say, well, these are all his doings, but I mean, there's a talented roster, So I don't know. I was a little bit up in arms about what would happen to Zimmer, but that was such a weird interaction after the game.
Yeah, it was.
And I don't know, and supposedly Zimmer and Cousins are trying to work it out. I think regardless, Zimmer's gone at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I know there's a name that I don't think the Vikings expect, but Eric Bieniemy is sitting down in Kansas City.
Okay.
And that boy is looking for a head coaching job.
Yeah.
And I think you got to probably give him a stupid number, but I think he's worth every penny.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think. Eric Bieniemy used to be a wide receivers, running backs coach.
Running backs, yeah.
When he had AP.
Yep.
And another one of the assistants that went away. I think you're going to have to give him some stupid money because all of a sudden now there's a vacancy over in Las Vegas with the Raiders.
Right.
And I think what's the Davis? Anyways, the owner there,
right. Yeah.
Al Davis's boy.
Yeah. Mark Davis.
Mark Davis.
Yeah.
They're going to want to make, after this whole debacle, they're going to try and go find. And I was listening to ESPN this morning, and it sounded like betting man's chances they're going to throw a lot of money at Eric Bieniemy.
Okay.
Now, does he want that job? I think there's going to be a lot of suitors after him,
right.
And I think the Vikings should be on the list. Zimmer's been good. I think it's time for Minnesota to go back and get an offensive-minded coach.
Right.
Hire a fabulous defensive coordinator and let them run with it, but get an offensive-minded. I think that's just the nature of the NFL this year. Or this right now, currently, you got to have an offensive-minded. And I just don't think Zimmer, it's not in his nature. He's still the old Bill Parcells style of coach.
Oh, exactly. And that's we call them grumpy old men, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, but you look around the league, and I can't even name a handful of these young guys that are out there. And you look at some of these teams, it's just, everybody's like, what's the matter with Kansas City? And, maybe they've figured out Patrick Mahomes a little bit, and maybe some of that magic is gone down there. But, boy, I tell you what, look at what the Bills did down there last week, and you look at what the Chargers are doing, and some of the, some of these teams, it's not Seattle anymore, and it's not some of the household football names that we've been used to here lately. Right. So I don't know.
No, and I mean, and then you got to look too, just. Not every young up-and-coming coach is going to be the next Sean McDermott in Buffalo, for example, right? I mean, he kind of all of a sudden, Josh Allen turned into this all-world quarterback, and they're sitting pretty. So, I mean, you just look at it. I mean, that's where I say Eric Bieniemy is kind of a known commodity. You know what you're getting with him, I think, in a lot of aspects. He's never been a head coach, but you kind of know what you're going to get. And I think that's the route the Vikings have to look at going, is don't get, pay some money, a lot of money, to get a good coach, because we still got, I mean, depending on what we do for quarterback, I mean, this offseason, depending on what all happens here, is Kirk Cousins going to get signed to an extension? Is he gone? Is Zimmer gone? We got a lot of pieces here. It was sort of a win-now mode, the next year or two. What do you do? I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be real interesting to see what this offseason, how it transpires, but on to Carolina. Right. It's going to be... They got a good defense. Now, I think Carolina's kind of wearing out as far as, they were the NFL sweetheart for the first 4 weeks of the season. I think they're getting a little bit tired. That defense is starting to wear off. People are figuring them out a little bit. I think there's room for the Vikes to have a pretty good game. Sam Darnold is playing really, really well. Yeah. I mean, he's not an MVP caliber, but the guy's playing well. And... so it'll be a tough deal. Christian McCaffrey may or may not play this week, too. Mm-hmm. So you might have Delvin Cook back. You might not either. I read this morning, we got a bye after this week. Right. They might just sit his hinder down. Alexander Madison's playing really good. So that's my fantasy insider if you own Delvin Cook on your team. My best guess is if he doesn't practice this week, he's out. Right. Again, let him rest up and then have at it for the second half of the season. But... you got to get another win. You got to be 3-3 right now. The Bears are playing a little bit better right now. You think we had kicking problems. Did you watch that Cincinnati and Green Bay game?
Yes.
I mean, I think you and I could have kicked field goals better than those boys were.
Oh.
I mean, holy buckets. That was ugly. But, Green Bay does not look like the powerhouse.
No.
I mean, they're good. They put up numbers, but they aren't scoring a ton of points. So, I mean, are we going to win the division? I don't know. We really got to pull our head out of a you-know-what.
Right.
But, I mean, we just got to play better. And that's the only thing. That's the sad part. That's what's maybe so frustrating is you see the talent on the team. Mm-hmm. Just got to translate it into victories on game day.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, get a win in Carolina, and things are, feeling a little better going into the bye week.
Right. I mean, here you go. You're 3-3 if you get this win at Carolina. Going into the bye week, get a reset on the season a little bit. Come out. All of a sudden, you start stringing some victories together. You put 3-4 wins together. You're right in the middle of this thing. And if this is what it takes to maybe blend this team, Patrick Peterson looks good. That secondary looks a lot better.
Yeah.
Bershawn Breeland needs to get off the Twitter machine.
Right.
But, so there's pieces there. Michael Pierce probably won't play. He'll be healthy, hopefully, the second half.
Right.
Delvin Cook is healthy. Christian Darisaw is going to play. That boy better start. I'm sorry of seeing Hill trying to block people from his butt.
Right.
But so, we'll see. Get a win. Let's go. Anthony Barr played the whole game. Boy looked tired afterwards. Hadn't played football in over a year.
Hadn't played in 2 years.
So, he was tired. But, he said it felt good. So, you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden we start putting the pieces together. Maybe that aggressive interaction between Zimmer and the Cousins, maybe that'll be on a T-shirt, I guarantee you. But maybe that'll get everyone fired up and let's do this. Let's just string it together. Let's just go stupid and win the division and beat Green Bay. You know what I mean? Like, let's just do it. Let's just pull it all together. Something's got to happen. Let's turn this season around. I'm tired of it being so darn stressful.
Right. Well, hopefully they can get a win. You, if you're listening, you can get a win too by coming over and checking out some of the selection here. I noticed your wife had made a comment last week that she's not without a lawnmower, and I know you alluded to the fact that you had a used rider, I think, but she said you bought her a used push mower the year. How long you been married?
Good question. 2008. Do the math.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's still a fine push mower. I've offered to buy a new one, but she likes it. So I know she's listening, dear.
Then she. I wonder if she's related to my wife because I know you got that little you got that John Deere, but I got this wheelbarrow over here, and it's just a lot easier if I can just do the work myself, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So. I'm supposed to get a zero turn. She does not want a rider, so
she should have a zero turn.
She should have probably whatever she wants. She has to put up with me, and then listen to me for 10 and a half, 12 minutes here talk about Vikings as if I don't talk enough sports at home. Maybe that's why it's good I don't. I don't know how to take this, but if the Vikings, what did I say? I'd get her zero turn if we won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How about if we just win the division? That looks like a far stretch now.
Right? There you go.
Right? If we win the Super Bowl, I'll give someone not listening, I'll give them a lawnmower.
Maybe it's a zero turn for the division and a cruise for the Super Bowl.
Okay, that's fine. Let's do it. We'll need it, honestly. It'll be some sort of a cluster. That's for darn sure.
All right. Well, this all happens at Mid Central Equipment. It's a heck of a lot of fun. We used to do this a lot every week, and it's been fun getting back together with Nathan and chatting it up here on Vikings Chatter. Check out midcentralequipment.com online or 218-583-2931.